So when it comes to 4K TV, a really sensible question to ask is, what am I going to watch and where is all this 4K content? Well, firstly, what are you going to watch? You're probably going to watch standard TV, you're going to watch Blu-ray movies, DVDs, you're going to download movies and watch them. And they're all going to look better on a Sony 4K TV. That's because we have this special upscaling technology. We've worked on it with Sony Pictures. It's called X-Reality, and we build that into the TV, and everything you watch on a 4K TV from Sony will look better than it would on a standard Full HD TV. But then we have to ask the question about where's all the 4K content and 4K movies? Well, you'll be pleased to know that the Hollywood studios have been capturing movies in 4K since as far back as 2006. There's already more than 100 movies recorded in 4K, and they're even remastering a lot of the old movies from film into 4K so that they future-proof those movies. But it's worth remembering that when it comes to content, if you think back to when we launched HD TVs back in 2003, it wasn't until 2006 until we saw Blu-ray movies available. And with the amount of content that's available in 4K already, you can assume it's not going to be that long that you'll need to wait. So a lot of people ask, is there really that much difference between 4K and Blu-ray? And of course the answer is yes. There's 4 times more detail in a 4K movie than there is in a Blu-ray movie. But more importantly, as we go to bigger screens, 4K is really important so we can maintain that high picture quality. Back when high definition was launched 10 years ago, the average screen size of a TV was 23 inches. Today, the average screen size is 46 inches and it's growing rapidly. So to be able to maintain that picture quality as our screens get bigger, we really need that extra detail that only 4K can deliver. So you've just got your 4K TV, and of course the next question is, how am I going to experience 4K content on that TV? Well, the 2 main ways will be disc and downloads. Disc, the Blu-ray Disc Association have announced that they're investigating standards to support 4K. And when it comes to download, well, in the US, Sony have already released a download service for 4K movies. You can expect to see those sorts of services roll out around the globe. And importantly, when it comes to downloading, we don't have to fear about these really massive files that we'll be downloading, because there's new technology that makes the file much smaller. So it will only be maybe 2 or 3 times bigger than a movie that we'll download today. It's not going to be this massive file that's going to take 3 days to download. So if you're considering a 4K TV, of course you'll want to know what standard TV will look like on the screen. Well, first and most importantly, it's fully compatible, so you'll be able to watch normal TV on a 4K TV. But secondly, it'll look better than ever before because the upscaling technology is just superb, and it'll make everything look better than what you've seen it before. The long answer to this question is, what is the upscaling technology? And the best way to think of it is the processor at the heart of the TV. I like to compare it to the lens of a camera. If I have a bad lens on my camera, then I'll get bad photos because everything has to pass through that lens. It's the same on a TV. If I have a bad processor, then I'll get bad picture because everything has to pass through the processor to reach the screen. Sony have spent years working with Sony Pictures to incorporate Sony Pictures information into the processor that we put in the heart of our TVs. So now I just want to talk to you about Sony Bravia and why we're so excited by this TV. There's 3 technologies in this TV that we think will really impress you. The first one is the colour, the second is the detail and the upscaling ability of the TV, and the third is the sound. It's an important part of TVs that is often overlooked. So firstly, let's take a look at colour. We use an exclusive technology in this TV called Triluminous. And what Triluminous does is it gives us more colour to be able to draw onto the screen. The best way for me to explain it is, if you think about an artist and his paint palette, the more colour he has on that paint palette, the more accurately he'll be able to represent real life in his painting. And it's the same with our TV. We have about 30% more colour available to us, which means that we can represent real life more accurately on the screen. Secondly, let's talk about detail and upscaling technology. Well, that's all done by the processor at the heart of the TV. And we've been working for decades now with Sony Pictures to learn about the information that is required to draw accurate images and more detail on the screen. We've taken all the data that Sony Pictures have learnt, because they master a lot of the movies for many studios in Hollywood. And we've taken that data and we've put it into our processor, into the X-Reality processor. And that is exclusive to Sony. And the benefit of that is we can upscale and represent images with more lifelike detail than anybody else. The third thing I wanted to talk to you about is the sound. You can see on this TV here that the speakers are facing forward. And we've done that because that's where you sit. You sit in front of the TV, you don't sit under the TV. And most TVs nowadays have the speakers pointing down. So there's the other thing about these TVs that's important to know, these speakers, sorry, that is important to know, is that they use magnetic fluid. Magnetic fluid is exclusive to Sony. It was developed by NASA, and it gives you a speaker that is much more efficient and produces 30% less distortion. So really, I could talk to you all day about the technologies in this TV, but the best way to experience them is to go into store, have a look at the picture and the colour and the detail, and also make sure you turn the sound up so you can hear what difference it makes to have good speakers built into your TV. So one of the most common questions we get is comparing 4K and 3D together, when really they're very different. 3D is always about event-based experiences where you choose to sit down and watch something in 3D, whereas 4K is all about resolution and detail. 4K is much more akin to the transition from standard definition to high definition, or DVD to Blu-ray, or even going back further, VHS to DVD. It's that sort of quality difference that we're talking about. And as we move to bigger screens in Australia, we consume some of the biggest screens on the planet because we have the biggest households in the world. As we go to those bigger screens, we really do need more detail. And that is where 4K can really deliver.